Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Yes, back in the saddle once again. Luke and I in the house. Two separate continents, two separate countries, rooting for two separate teams in the World Cup, two separate alcoholic beverages as always, and we are coming at you live. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about this week, I would say. Wouldn't you say that, Luke?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, so much. I don't know, are we going to have to break this into two shows? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I think we should probably maybe spin off the deep dive this week. Maybe we'll do that in a couple of days or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah. Just because the deep dive is it's gonna take a while, and then the stuff that it's two things really. The stuff that we want to talk about right now is pertinent and super time sensitive, which we'll get to here in a second, but it's also just a lot of material. And so we are going to put in a little bit of overtime and just do basically a supplementary show tonight, which is basically going to take the place of this shallow dive, so to speak. And then on Tuesday, if we don't have any more shallow dive material to go through, then we'll just jump right into the deep dive.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's a good plan.
All right, man. So do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's get right into it, man. So first and foremost, the IG report. We got to jump on this now, ladies and germs, because we have been content cucked entirely. Everything that we had to say about this, every other pundit in the world has already said before us. So before we get into it too far, let's just go ahead and listen to what Judge Jeanine had to say about it last night. What you got to say, Judge?
I'm worried. I'm really worried. This report is nothing more than a whitewash of the deep state by the deep state itself. There are great people in the FBI, men and women, and I have had the honor of working with them. But they're embarrassed because they know how bad Comey and company destroyed America's confidence in that esteemed FBI. And there are great people in government, many of whom you've seen on this show. Congressman Ron DeSantis, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, Devin Nunes, Lee Zeldin, Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs, Senators Lindsey Graham, Ron Johnson, Chuck Grassley. These people are fighting the deep state as obstructionist Democrats like Pelosi, Schumer, and Schiff stare into the cameras and turn truth on its head. They're not real Democrats. They're demon rats. That's what I said, demon rats. And until the Republicans learn to fight like they do and go with a narrative that no one veers from,
Oops, sorry about that. We got to finish this.
Socialism will run amok in this country.
Let's back it up a little bit.
Deep state. As obstructionist Democrats like Pelosi, Schumer, and Schiff stare into the cameras and turn truth on its head. They're not real Democrats. They're demon rats. That's what I said, demon rats. And until the Republicans learn to fight like they do and go with a narrative that no one veers from, they and socialism will run amok in this country.
Woo! But she mad. She mad, ain't she? I love it when Judge Jeanine gets mad.
That needs to become a meme. Like I have a demon rat, like the imagery of that in my head. It's like, Pepe's arch nemesis, the demon rat.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you know what? We've got all these rare Pepes between the two of us. We could probably throw some together. We just got to draw a demon rat. That's all we got to do. So, anyways, Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, turns out all we need to do is make a demon rat meme. We don't need to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Become internet famous.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Does she have a cold, or is she about to cry? I don't know.
She is deeply concerned about what is going on with our republic. She's really upset, man. And she kind of was a little bit misty-eyed and very, very serious in her delivery and her thoughts last night. It was I really wish I hadn't stepped on that. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're just, we're amateurs here. We're becoming professional over time. But it was really worth it to hear it in its entirety because, yeah, she's really upset. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a couple of I don't know if I'm taking us off track here, but since we have plenty of time, since we're not doing the deep dive, I'll go ahead and ask this. She said two things in there that were a little bit confusing. Well, one of them was sort of confusing. The other one was tangential. So the confusing part was that she somehow, like in all of that, and all of the demon rat speak, ended up blaming it on the Republicans and conservatives. I think she actually said conservatives, not Republicans. And then the second thing, which seemed to be really tangential, was like somehow corruption in the, quote unquote deep state, which that's probably worth a deep dive too, because that's still a floating abstraction for me.
Yeah. We should add that to the list. Yeah.
Yeah. That somehow FBI corruption is going to lead to socialism. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what the logical progression there is, but, it's a pretty long stretch if you ask me.
Well, I can't pretend to know Judge Janine's thoughts. She's a lot smarter than I am, and she's a trained lawyer. She was a professional prosecutor for numerous years in New York. If I may prevail to guess, I think that what she was saying, she's calling out cuck Republicans who do not go to bat for the president and do all of this fakery in protest of the deep state and really get nothing done. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about, like, for example, Trey Gowdy with the whole Benghazi fiasco and Fast and Furious as well. All of this chest thumping, all of this, fire and damnation coming from his mouth. And, a grand slam case like Fast and Furious, Trey Gowdy pulls up nothing. Snake eyes, man.
It's probably just 4D chest thumping.
Yeah, well, maybe. So
here's my thing. She talks about how until conservatives are willing to pull the same demon rat maneuvers, that's where I kind of was like, all right, I departed with her a little bit. I was like, you have principles or you don't, so she's basically saying, like, forego all of your principles in this scenario.
Yeah. I think she is that mad and she is that ready for war that's literally what she's saying. It's pretty chilling because Judge Janine usually is pretty level-headed. She's snarky, sarcastic, lovely to behold, and rarely says such warlike rhetoric as that. Rarely says that. Yeah. She mad, man. She mad. I don't blame her. I'm madder than hell too, man.
It's so interesting to me, man. I don't get Fox News over here, and I don't really watch Fox News, so I don't know what the state of Fox News is these days.
Oh, well, they're kicking ass in the ratings. Hannity is the number one show in all of cable news by a long shot. The second biggest show in cable news right now is Laura Ingraham. Right behind that comes Rachel Maddow at Mess NBC, and then Tucker is coming in behind Rachel Maddow right now. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shakeup in terms of ratings. And also, I might say, Hannity, you'd be very interested in this, bro. Hannity just passed up Limbaugh as the most listened to radio show in all.
Yeah, I heard that recently.
That's insane, man. How do you? That's like. Man, Limbaugh is a monolith, man. I mean, he has never been surpassed even temporarily by anyone, and now Hannity is more listened to than Limbaugh. It's pretty crazy, man.
Huh. I'd be interested to know why that is.
I would too. I think that a lot of it has to do with Hannity has been doing pretty good work on this Russia investigation and preparation for the IG report that just dropped. And he has enlisted a great staff of contributors, not the least of whom are Sarah Carter and John Solomon, and he also has Bongino on there all the time. And all three of them have been doing outstanding work in investigating all of this stuff. And so I think that because Hannity hosts them so often, he's kind of come up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, it is.
So he's been doing cross marketing.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. That's exactly what he's been doing.
I thought maybe it was meme magic, but turns out it's just traditional cross marketing. Who would have thought about it?
Yeah. Just normie cross marketing. Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
So to go on, all right. So like one thing I want to highlight in mine and Luke's comments about this IG report, all right, there are really two different parts to it. Okay, there is the IG report itself. There's the nuts and bolts of the investigation that Horowitz, the investigator general, turned up. Then there is this kind of weird executive summary that is about 26 pages long. And it really feels, as you read this content, it feels like it was added after the fact. And we've got a little bit of audio to play for you in a little bit. We'll get to that. Well, actually, you know what? We might as well play it right now. This is, I got this from Fash the Nation, and this is kind of what Limbaugh's theory about the reason for the differences between the executive summary and the nuts and bolts of the report. Let's take a listen.
Well, I mean, at first it would seem to be sort of anticlimactic, and there are the people who are essentially the defenders of the deep state. There's plenty for them to go on. I actually heard Rush talking about it a little bit, and I thought he sort of encapsulated it nicely, so I'll play a clip of him real quick.
Sounds good.
I made a prediction yesterday that the media would go on offense and try to mischaracterize this report, and they did. And you know how they did it? If you read the executive summary of the Inspector General report, and if that's all you read, you're not going to know anything. You're going to think that this is a big pile of nothing. It's stunning. You read the details of the report, you are prepared zero by reading the executive summary. There's something really odd about this, because the executive summary does not summary or summarize. It's almost as though the executive summary is there for the media to focus on and highlight while ignoring the nuts and bolts in the effort to make this no big deal.
So that's what Rush had to say about it, and I'm sort of inclined to agree. Now, let's go ahead and get to the gist of what the executive summary said, and I quote, excuse me, "While we did not find that these decisions were the result of political bias on Comey's part, we nevertheless concluded that by departing so clearly and dramatically from FBI and department norms, the decisions negatively impacted the perception of the FBI and the department as fair administrators of justice." Okay, so let that sink in. What it's saying is that they found, there might have been a little bit of political bias, but it didn't affect the FBI investigators' performance in investigating Hillary's emails and investigating Russiagate. Okay. I find that extremely shocking. I mean, because let's just take a look at Exhibit A. Here is a text between Page and Strzok. Everybody's heard it already, but from Lisa Page. "Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right?" Strzok: No, he's not. We'll stop it. Now, stop and think about that. This is another thing Judge Jeanine talked about last night, and I have that audio. Maybe we'll play it, maybe we won't. But, intent is not very hard to prove. This man just said that he is going to stop Trump from becoming president. He is nothing but an unelected FBI bureaucrat. We don't vote for him. We can't fire him. And yet he said that he is going to stop Trump from becoming president. Does that sound like in any type of accordance with the conclusion statement that I just read to you? Does that sound like it tracks to you? I mean, you decide for yourself, people. This is a smokescreen. I go on. March 13th, Lisa Page, God, Trump is a loathsome human. March 3rd, Strzok, oh my God, Trump is an idiot. March 3rd, 2016, Page, he's awful. March 3rd, 2016, Strzok, God, Hillary should win 100 million to 0. March 3rd, 2016, Page, and did you hear Trump make a comment about the size of his dick earlier? This man cannot be president. March 12th, 2016, Page forwarded an article about a far-right candidate in Texas stating, what the F is wrong with people? Strzok replied, that Texas article is depressing as hell, but answers how we could end up with President Trump. March 16th, Page, I cannot believe Donald Trump is likely to be an actual serious candidate for president. June 11th, 2016, Strzok, they fully deserve to go and demonstrate the absolute bigoted nonsense of Trump. July 18th, 2016, Page, Donald Trump is an enormous douche. I mean, can you believe? All right, I've got plenty more. There are plenty more where these came from. But like, Luke, can you believe these fucking children? These are FBI agents investigating both the Hillary email scandal and the Donald Trump Russiagate scandal, and they talk like this. They talk like fucking grade school children. It's shocking to me, man.
Yeah, help clarify with the audience the relationship between Page and Strzok.
Page and Strzok are, Lisa Page is a high-ranking attorney at the FBI. Peter Strzok was, I can't remember exactly what his title was, but he was like deputy investigator. He was the second in charge of all investigations at the FBI. These two were now proven by the IG report. They were having an affair and trying to cover it up. They were texting back and forth about their affair on FBI phones, and it was also upon these FBI phones which they texted all of these derogatory comments about Trump. And these texts, they come to over 73,000 in total.
Between the two of them.
Between the two of them. 73,000 texts on FBI phones. What a bunch of dumbasses, man.
Between the two of them about all this stuff.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Man.
And that's only from like I'd say the beginning of 2016 until the beginning of 2017. That's about a year's worth of texts. 73,000. I mean, man, bro, you and I are in touch a lot. And like, I bet our texts maybe hit about 200, 300, or Discord messages rather, probably about 300. 73,000.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever communicated. I mean, how many of those were stuff like this versus business-related stuff?
Well, see, I would like to know that, but that was not disclosed in the IG report. But I would really like to know.
Yeah. What about, man, I mean, so, okay, what are the status of Page and Strzok now? Where are they? What are they doing?
Lisa Page stepped down from the FBI, I want to say about 3 weeks ago. She resigned. She rage quit the FBI, essentially.
Rage quit.
Yeah, pretty much. She was kind of just tired of answering all these questions and, you know, I'm going to go live my life and blah, 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 and fuck the FBI, I'm out of here. And she is rumored to have been vacationing in England. I cannot prove this. That's only a rumor. Peter Strzok, he still works for the FBI. He was appointed to the Mueller investigation, of course, because he's got the long knife out for Trump. He's going to do anything to stop Trump, as we clearly know from his text to Page. James Comey appointed him to the staff of Robert Mueller's investigative team. Robert Mueller is the special counsel in charge of investigating whether or not Trump obstructed justice by firing James Comey. And that was kind of Comey's last act before he did get fired. He appointed Peter Strzok there. Well, these texts between he and Lisa Page came to light maybe about August of last year. No, I'm going to say probably about November of last year. And probably the FBI discovered these texts a little bit earlier than they were made public knowledge. And Peter Strzok was removed from the special counsel investigation, and he now works in human resources at the FBI. Probably a work from home job, probably something real cushy. But man, I was thinking about it, Luke. It's absolutely outrageous. This cuck probably got paid on Friday. He probably got a check from the DOJ on Friday, and we paid that check, and he's still there.
Yeah, if this were any other corporate job, if this is a banking job, for example, that guy would have been fired so fast.
You damn right.
Just even for using your work phone for personal reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Insane, man. I mean, just absolutely insane. I share Judge Jeanine's disdain. I really do.
There should be some sort of regulatory. It's so funny because these are the same people who talk about needing and wanting to regulate businesses. And so you have, large banks, like Swiss Bank and other banks like this. They are, when every single, there are people whose jobs it is to do nothing more than monitor a bucket that is filled with emails each day of banking executives, traders, all these sorts of people. And all they do, their job is to just sit around in an office. Well, I mean, they have other responsibilities too, but part of their responsibilities is to make sure that bucket of emails that they're reviewing stays empty. So we have government officials talking about these evil banks and how we need to do this and do that with them. How about this? Why don't we put some regulations on them too?
Yeah.
Why isn't there anybody monitoring their emails and then bring it to light? Oh, these guys are using their work phones for personal reasons, and they hold opinions and are using their work phones to communicate these opinions, which would clearly indicate a conflict of interest to their job.
Absolutely. Why can they surveil upon us and we can't monitor them? Why does nobody in their own organization monitor them? I mean, until after the fact. I mean, finally, Investigator Horowitz did, but, too little, too late, bro. Thanks for playing. Appreciate it. Thanks for the report.
So what is Horowitz going to do about this?
There's nothing Horowitz can do. He is only an investigator. He does not have subpoena power nor prosecutorial power. This is, I'm kind of cucking myself on content a little bit, but we might as well get to it here. What we have to look forward to going forward at this point is U.S. Attorney Huber, you're up, Huber. You better knock this out of the park. He is a prosecutor from the state of Utah that was appointed by Jeff Sessions to work in tandem with the Inspector General on this investigation. I now quote from an article from The Hill. Attorney General Jeff Sessions quietly tapped Huber, apparently last fall, to work in tandem with the Justice Department's Inspector General to determine whether conservative allegations, please, of abuse in the FBI and the Justice Department merit investigation. It's an unusual arrangement, and one that falls short of demands from the right that Sessions name a second special counsel. That idea has generated controversy, with critics saying the second appointee would inevitably impede upon the work of special counsel Robert Mueller. Oh, of course, Robert Mueller's so important. The administration has provided few public details about Huber's assignment beyond a lengthy message from Sessions to Congress in which he argued that his appointment should be sufficient to address the concerns raised by GOP lawmakers. The Justice Department has declined to comment on his budget or what Sessions meant when he said that Huber is working in cooperation with Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Horowitz's office also declined to comment. So we don't really know. What my bet is is that Sessions appointed him because specifically that Inspector General Horowitz does not have prosecutorial power, and this guy Huber does. That's what working in tandem means. So hopefully Horowitz tees it up, Huber knocks him down. That's all we have to look forward to at this point in time are indictments, and we'll see if it happens.
Let me ask you this: what is the scope of implications in terms of who could be, quote, knocked down?
Peter Strzok, certainly. Lisa Page, certainly. These other unidentified FBI agents, I believe they were called FBI Attorney Number 2, FBI Agent, and FBI Agent Number 2. They certainly are in serious danger of prosecution. James Comey is in serious danger of prosecution. Andrew McCabe is fucked, bro. This guy is fucked. He is in serious jeopardy of being behind bars. And how much farther this goes, I don't know, Luke. It may go to members of Congress. It may go to members of the Senate. It may go to the entire Justice Department under Obama's administration, meaning Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder. This could metastasize into a major happening, man.
So let me ask you this. So that was the scope, right? What's the depth of the implications of what's going on here? So obviously these people are not, I mean, okay, let me take that back. It's not obvious, but I'm assuming these people are not operating of their own volition. In other words, they are, I mean, they're clearly operating with impunity, or they were at least. And, at who's giving the direction? Is there anybody encouraging them? Is this coming from Congress? Is this coming from a previous White House? Is this coming from, who is behind all this? Because these are just the sort of people carrying out the acts, right? Yeah. Well, we don't really know a lot about, I haven't read the entire IG report. We may actually know quite a bit about that, but I'll tell you exactly how deep this goes. James fucking Comey and Loretta fucking Lynch, the FBI director and the attorney general while Obama was president. And I believe that this goes all the way up to Obama himself, because there is no way Obama didn't know that this shit was going on. And if he didn't, he has no idea what he's doing as president. None whatsoever. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's outrageous, man. It's absolutely outrageous. So anyways, let's get back to the what's going on here. All right. So I've already read to you the highlight of the concluding statement. Well, I mean, and then I've read bits from the actual report itself. I've only read Peter Strzok and Lisa Page so far. Here's another couple for you. FBI Attorney Number 2. I am numb. FBI employee. I can't stop crying. This is after the election. FBI Attorney 2. That makes me even more sad. FBI employee. Like, what happened? You promised me this wouldn't happen. You promised. FBI employee. Okay, that might have been a lie. I'm very upset. Haha. I'm so stressed out about what I could have done differently. Let me repeat that again. I am so stressed out about what I could have done differently. To sabotage Trump's campaign, to keep him from becoming president. That's what that means. Don't stress. None of that mattered. FBI employee. FBI employee again. The FBI's influence. FBI attorney 2. I don't know. We broke the momentum. FBI employee. That's not so. FBI employee. All the people who were initially voting for her would not and were not swayed by any decision the FBI put out. Trump supporters are all poor to middle class, uneducated, lazy pieces of shit that think he will magically grant them jobs for doing nothing. They probably didn't watch the debates, aren't fully educated on his policies, and are stupidly wrapped up in his unmerited enthusiasm. Good God, man. Good God. These are texts that literally went on among employees in the FBI. Literally.
I mean, it's one thing to have your own personal opinions and keep that separate from work.
Yes.
I have my, but it's another thing to, I mean, clearly there's no line. The lines are at best blurred here for these people.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, let me put it this way, Luke. Okay, back in the day when I was editing commercials, I did a lot of political spots, many. And like, man, I would edit political spots for candidates I did not support. And can I do my job fairly? Can I leave out my support for that other candidate while I'm running for my preferred candidate, while I am literally putting together the propaganda machine for my candidate's enemy? Yes, I can. These people clearly cannot. And they are FBI, man. It's just insane. It's just insane.
I think they should launch an investigation to see if, do you remember at Trump's inauguration, the autistic screeching girl?
Oh yeah.
Girl, I think it was a girl.
Yeah, who knows? But
I think that was FBI employee too.
You know what? It just may have been. Nothing surprises me anymore, man.
It was just the autistic screeching was just before FBI employee 2 texted, "I am numb. I can't stop crying."
Oh Lordy, nothing surprising anymore, man. You're probably right. Like if you can think of it, ladies and germs, like the most wildest thing you can conceive, it just might be true in today's political landscape. It just might be true. Anyways, so y'all get what the report said. Y'all understand, like the FBI was locked, cocked, and loaded against President Trump. This tended to be upon within the upper echelons of the FBI, not so much, as everybody keeps saying, the rank and file, great men and women. Yes, that's probably true. It was probably front loaded from the top, Yeah. So,
and this is important because this is not just, and this is, audience. Admittedly, even on the last show, if you go back and listen to it, I was basically not very much into this. And, I've taken it upon myself to do a little bit of reading and also listening to Russ as well as he's explaining it, trying to follow along. This is not some just sort of leak, this isn't just, news scandal of the week, going through the media cycle and then next month it'll be something different. This is possible, and I don't even want to use the word collusion because it's been so overused with the Russia scandal. It's just, the word has just been emptied of its meaning at this point, but cooperation within investigatory areas of the government in concert with political parties to take down political opposition.
Yes.
And that's what we're looking at here at the highest level, the meta level of all of this is the cooperation of politics and the FBI to take down political opposition.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, which at this point is straight up, dare we say, fascist?
I would. Fascist. Well, I mean, in the Antifa usage of the word, yes, it is. I think that this is kind of Banana Republic type shit going on right here. This is the kind of stuff that you expect to see going on in Cuba, in Castro's regime. This is the type of thing you expect to see in the Congo, in Nigeria.
As this stuff goes on, the countries that Russ just mentioned, Congo, Nigeria, Cuba, what do all those places have in common? You could call them third world. I've heard some people say second world, but they are not first world countries. And
there's a great reason for that.
And if you if you like living in a first world country, if you enjoy that, if you enjoy the wealth, the civility, the safety, the happiness of living in a first world country, you should remind yourself, you should remember this, that we cannot continue living in a first world country with third world politics. That's two are irreconcilable.
Right. That is absolutely right. Yeah, Janine talked about that last night. Like, we have a rule of law here that is worth protecting. It is what ensures that we are ruled by laws and not by human beings, not by men. And it's worth holding on to, unless you want to be like Nigeria, Congo, Senegal.
Hey man, Senegal's in the World Cup right now. They're doing something right.
I mean, I know. That's my team for the World Cup, man. I'm kidding. It's not. All right. So just rolling on a little bit. This one last sentence from the quote unquote executive summary. The texts were, quote, indicative of a biased state of mind, but even more seriously implies a willingness to take official action to impact the presidential candidate's electoral prospects. This is antithetical to the core values of the FBI and the DOJ. Now we're talking. All right, that sentence right there is what I'm talking about. It completely contradicts the sentence from the IG report that I read to you earlier, doesn't it? Now, let's ask ourselves here for a moment, why are these contradictions included within the same report? You heard Limbaugh's thoughts about it a little bit earlier, right? That it was cover, okay? That the executive summary was leaked, by the way. And yeah, speaking of that, the executive summary was leaked at 9 a.m. The report did not drop until 3 p.m. Who leaked that executive summary? Who was the person at DOJ that leaked that executive summary to Bloomberg News and then later to Fox News? Is it Rod Rosenstein? Is that who leaked? Very few people had that report in their possession. Rod Rosenstein certainly was one of them. Jeff Sessions did not have that report within his possession at this point in time. He's the AG, man. Rod Rosenstein, did you leak? Why was the conclusion leaked before the report?
It's mind-boggling, man. It's like the midst of all of this.
Yes.
They're like, I know what we'll do. We'll leak a report.
It's just insane, man. Yeah. It's just insane.
It's like, I don't hear much about WikiLeaks anymore because I don't think they're served much of a purpose. It just...
Yeah.
At this point, it just all gets leaked anyways, you know?
Yeah, right. That's a damn fine point, man. That's a damn fine point. So...
Man, yeah, it's
crazy, man. It's crazy. And anyways, to circle out this thought, y'all heard Limbaugh's thoughts about why that executive summary was leaked before the nuts and bolts, including all of these texts that I've read to you in the actual report, dropped. All right, you've heard what Limbaugh thinks. It was kind of to run cover, to diffuse, right? To give talking points to the leftist punditry, to hammer home before the report even dropped. What if there is an even more nefarious reason? What if, first of all, this contradictory statement, 26 pages of statement, was implanted into the IG report and then leaked to sow division among the American populace? To drop it so that the left-wing punditry would do exactly what they logically would do. They would report on it in terms of, oh, this is a big nothing burger. Look at this. Oh, look at these conservatives. They've been waiting for this IG report. It's nothing. It's nothing. That's what they've all been saying. Then the report actually drops, and the right-wing punditry begins digging through it, reading all, 560 whatever pages that beast there were. And they start finding, oh yeah, you know what? This isn't really nothing. What if it's a psyop? What if it is intentionally constructed this way to sow division?
You know, without knowing what all the pundits are saying about it, I mean that's certainly plausible, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think a more plausible option would perhaps be that they were just literally trying to content cuck the actual IG report.
That's what Limbaugh thinks. Yeah,
that's what Limbaugh thinks. Yeah,
yeah. I don't disagree. Yeah,
I mean, it's a perfect way to do it. It's just, you know, you're basically just, well, it's sort of a Trojan horse. You know, you're just like loading the executive summary with whatever you want, and kind of just rolling it right in the front gates as everyone's awaiting it. You know. Yeah. Yeah. And then hoping that. Yeah.
Yeah, I am just so, I agree. I think that probably is the best explanation. But man, I am so shocked, dismayed, and pissed off about this that I just expect the worst at this point in time. I'll be perfectly honest. I expect the worst.
Yeah, let me clarify that by saying I would be unsurprised if you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
To put it mildly.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised by a lot in our politics these days, which is sad. Yeah. But not a lot surprises me. I when I was younger, I used to get all, you know, up in arms about everything, but now I'm a little bit seen a lot more. But you know, it's this sort of thing where the stuff seems to be harder to understand these days. You know, it's like it used to be pretty straightforward. It's like this person said this about that person. Oh, was
blue
it true?
Dress. Yeah, you blue dress, cigar. Yeah, very simple.
Yeah. But this is like serious. Maybe this is the whole deep state thing, you know, which I don't know. Maybe they really are like rooting out, you know, the hornets out of a nest, and you know, it's a dirty process and difficult to understand. But
that is a lot of what Q says, and we're going to talk about Q in The Rundown, our spinoff show coming up sometime, so I don't want to content cuck us on that at the moment. But that is the basic gist of what QAnon says is going on, rooting out the hornet's nest. And
I hope so.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't
like
see 50% much evidence of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 50% confident that that's the case, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this also doesn't feel like politics as usual, even though I know I said that literally like 4 days ago on the last show. But, you know, now that I'm, reading more about it, this seems to be heavier than normal.
It does.
Because, like, you know, the thing I always go back to is, like, Bill Clinton, you know, his whole fiasco with Monica Lewinsky. You know, and that's my litmus test, right? And if it doesn't exceed a scandal of that severity, then I just don't really expect anything to happen, because that's pretty much, you know, president being caught like cheating on his wife in the Oval Office and then lying under oath about it. And you still nothing happens, basically, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So for me, it's like, unless it exceeds that level of severity where like impeachment is like a real and plausible option and being talked about openly, then I just don't expect anything to come of it, you know. But at the same time, I don't know, man. This could have some pretty heavy implications.
Yeah, it could. I've been following this story quite a while, and I've been listening to everybody, man. I've been listening to Hannity, Tucker, Bongino, Kimberly Strassel, Sarah Carter. And it is very abstract. It's very hard to wrap your head around. But the implications of this, you're right, are extremely severe. Extremely severe. And I mean, like,
potentially extremely severe.
Yeah. Well,
depending on which basically like, basically what that says when I say potentially, when I qualify that by saying potentially, I mean potentially in a binary sense, in the fact that, like, if they're going to do anything, it's probably going to be severe or nothing's going to happen. It's like one or the other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right.
All right, what else we got on IG report, man? Does that? I'm looking at the show prep. It looks like we just knocked it out.
Yeah, we pretty much did. There is one point that I find really, really, really salient that we need to discuss. Okay, and that is this. Let's listen to Bongino on Tucker Carlson real quick.
us tonight. It seems to me, Dan, that the portion of this report that is being ignored, that is very interesting, is the part at its core on the Hillary investigation. And we've learned that a lot of things we suspected were true really are true.
They were, but Tucker, the most damning revelation, I think you just nailed it, is the Barack Obama receiving emails from Hillary Clinton's personal, not state.gov account, which she didn't have. Now, quick thing on this. The White House Communications Agency, WACA, that's responsible for President Obama, now President Trump's communications, had a whitelist that email address, Tucker. In other words, somebody had to tell WACA, hey, put that personal email address in Barack Obama's phone. Who told them? Are you still going to stick to this story, Barack Obama and team, that you had no idea Hillary had a personal email account? Plausible deniability here is gone and out the window.
So what you're saying is, by definition, because of the way it was set up, Obama and the people around him had to have known that this was an email system outside the government chain.
Tucker, there is no way around it. You think Barack Obama on his personal BlackBerry was getting, spam emails about a flower sale for Mother's Day? Those emails had to be whitelisted before they even hit the BlackBerry, meaning somebody gave WACA that email address and said, hey, this Hillary Clinton personal one, don't worry, this one's A-OK. Who's the person who did that? Amazing. You think Obama didn't know? I mean, the Pravda media will cover for him, I'm sure, but it's ridiculous. The story's absurd. Obama couldn't have been telling the truth.
No.
All right. So now, why is this relevant? I mean, you heard it from the man right there. Why is this relevant? Because also in the Investigator General report, another little nugget dropped out. You got to keep in mind that the report was very forgiving of James Comey, very excusing of his malfeasance and mismanagement of our highest law investigation agency. What we found out in the IG report is that James Comey also had a private Gmail with which he conducted FBI business. Now, we do not know whether or not he corresponded with Hillary Clinton on her homebrew bathhouse email server. We know that Barack Obama did. That was in the report. We know this for sure. I've known that for forever. But we now know with proof that happened, right? But what we have going on here is James Comey himself, director of the FBI, using a private Gmail to conduct FBI business. Now, why would this be the case? Why is this interesting that, Hillary, not to mention the 33,000 deleted emails, but she has her own private email server. Now we know that Barack Obama corresponded with her on that server, also with a private email with a pseudonym. We'll get into that some other time. Now we find out that James Comey...
It was first waifu at gmail.com.
Yeah. Michael Obama at gmail.com. So we find out that there is an entire culture among the higher-ups of the Obama administration where they used offline communications, and not just to talk about Chelsea's wedding, not just to talk about James Comey's favorite coffee shop. They were conducting business on it. Now, why would this be the case? This would be the case in order to hide federal records of communications. And it was set up, orchestrated, and endorsed by Obama himself. And
do you think Obama orchestrated it, or do you think this was something that predated him?
I know that he had a private email account with which he corresponded to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but man, do you honestly think Obama's running around setting up Gmail accounts and, it's his first day in the White House, someone gave him a BlackBerry box that he had to open and spend an hour or two setting up the, come on, man.
I don't think he's doing the actual setting up. I think he is telling his people, okay, all of you people, you need your own private email accounts. Let's get off this government network, and everybody just make up a Gmail, and here's mine. My name is Bill so-and-so. And everybody just make up a pseudonym. Send me your pseudonyms. I'll whitelist your emails here on my BlackBerry, and everything's going to be fine. Nobody will ever know. That's how I think it went down.
Man, this to me, okay, let's be clear right here. This is entirely speculation on my part. I think it's entirely speculation on everybody's part. To me, I don't view this as such a command and control sort of situation. I think this is more of a systemic structural framework in place with how and I don't know if this goes back to Bush or not. But
it probably goes way back. To be fair, to the beginning of email itself, it probably does.
Yeah, that like people who are brought into the fold kind of just get told this is how it works.
Yeah.
And I think it's more people being brought into the fold and not a command and control mastermind operation that Obama is orchestrating. That to me seems like a more plausible scenario.
Well, we'll deep dive at some other time about it, but like what this apparatus would be that is that is structural that you're talking about. This is the deep state. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's very deep statey.
Yeah. Insane, man. Just insane.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on, man. Do we? You got any more on IG?
No, that's it, man. I'm done.
All right. I really kind of wanted to read through Kimberly Strassel's tweets, but they're out there on Twitter. Look at Kimberly Strassel's Twitter account. And also, I really want to give a big hat tip to a guy on Twitter named Robbie Starbuck. He did a fine job of citizen journalism, reading the IG report, and he started a Twitter thread of, I would say, probably 30 tweets about his observation about what he saw in the IG report. A lot of the texts that I quoted to you, particularly between FBI Attorney 2 and FBI employee, those came from Robbie Starbuck's Twitter. So I would highly encourage you to, if you're on Twitter, take a look at Robbie Starbuck. Robbie Starbuck, thank you for being a proper American. Thank you for doing the work. And with that, I think I'm pretty much ready to move on, man. You want to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
So before we get in too deep into this next topic, I would like to kind of harken back to last week's show. Luke and I got a lot of great feedback from last week's show. And there is one thing that a very dear friend of mine told me that I did not make clear, and I would like to make that clear at this point in time, and that is this. I did not make it clear regarding James Wolfe, okay, who was indicted, okay? I did not make it clear that he was not indicted for leaking to the press, okay? James Wolfe was indicted for lying to the FBI about his affair with Allie Watkins and several other things as well. Okay. So leaking classified information to the press, that's a really big deal. All right. Lying to the FBI, man, that's the kind of the equivalent of jaywalking as far as federal charges go. Okay. Now, I'm glad that this listener pointed this out to me because I missed a big opportunity here, a really good talking point about last week that I want to make now. Excuse me. Probably, in my estimation, what is happening here is that James Wolfe was in very deep shit, up shit creek without a paddle, and probably took a lesser charge in a plea bargain. We don't know anything about this yet, but lying to the FBI is a much lesser charge than leaking classified information to the press. So once again, just to correct last week, James Wolfe was indicted for lying to the FBI, not for leaking to the press. We good on that, Luke?
Yeah, indeed.
All right, let's roll on. Next topic coming up is there is this great article on Real Clear Politics. It's by an author named Thomas Lipscomb. I highly recommend everybody read it. Nobody is talking about this right now, and I find it just absolutely shocking. I quote from the article. In the middle of directing the difficult task of transferring the historically important records of the Obama administration into the National Archives, the archivist in charge, David Ferrero, ran into a serious problem. A lot of key records are missing. A first-rate librarian, Ferrero has been driving a much-needed digital overhaul and expansion of the National Archives over 9 years of his appointment. This will greatly improve the ability of digital search locally and remotely, as well as accessing the files themselves. To support this effort, in 2014, President Obama signed the Presidential and Federal Record Act amendments. For the first time, electronic government records were placed under the 1950 Federal Records Act. The new law also included updates clarifying, quote, the responsibilities of federal government officials when using non-government email systems and empowering the National Archives to safeguard original and classified records from unauthorized removal, end quote. Additionally, it gives the archivist of the United States the final authority in determining just what is a government record. Let's break that down a little bit. A lot of Obama's archives are missing. They don't exist. They're not there. The National Archivist is trying to put these records together into the National Archives and also into Obama's presidential library, and these records don't exist. Now, Luke, why do you think that might be? I mean, if you were just a betting man, why do you think that is?
Oh, man. I don't know. They were deleted?
Well, Hillary's 33,000 emails were certainly deleted. But I might posit that maybe these records don't exist because Obama was doing government business on his private Gmail account. In order to not leave government records available to the National Archives, this stinks of corruption. That is my bet. That's my bet.
Okay, but what is this part about? The new law included updates clarifying the responsibilities of federal government officials when using non-government email systems.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Non-government email systems are now codified into law. Isn't that funny? How do you find, if you're the government, how do you find a non-government email account? Mr. President, do you have a non-government email account? No, I ain't got no email account. I don't know what you're talking about. How do you track that? Why does Congress feel the need to include non-government email accounts within that law in the first place? Curious, isn't it? It's a real head scratcher. Indeed. It's a real head scratcher. But anyways, what you can bet is going on right now is that we have no way of knowing, not even a scintilla of the business that's going on in government because it's not officially recorded. This is exactly to Luke's point that he was talking about just a moment ago. This is systemic.
Oh my gosh. Listen to this. And quote, this is from the article, quote, and yet the accumulation of recent congressional testimony has made it clear that the Obama administration itself engaged in the wholesale destruction and quote unquote loss of tens of thousands of government records covered under the act, as well as the intentional evasion of government records recording system by engaging in private email exchanges. So far, former President Obama, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former Attorney General Lynch, and several EPA officials. So now we got the EPA involved in this.
Yeah.
EPA officials have been named as offenders. The IRS suffered record quote-unquote losses as well. Former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy called it, quote, an unauthorized private communications system for official business for the patent purpose of defeating federal record keeping and disclosure laws, end quote.
Insane, isn't it? Andrew McCarthy is another one of these people who's been red hot on Russiagate and Hillary's emails and all that. Shout out Andrew McCarthy. Keep going. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is now they've brought the EPA into this, you know?
Yeah,
so now we've got like yet another.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee you, I can't prove it, and I don't have the article in front of me right now, but I read that as well, and I guarantee you the EPA records that were quote-unquote lost were when the EPA ended up polluting that entire river in Colorado that was the source of drinking water for Colorado citizens that's unusable for like 100 years now. It's polluted with radiation, mining waste, arsenic, all kinds of crap. I guarantee you those are the records that disappeared. And furthermore, I will also guarantee you that the IRS's quote-unquote record losses have to do with Lois Lerner. I promise.
I would love to be there for that phone call. It's like, hey, where are all the records? Yeah, you know what? We lost them. Sorry about that.
It's insane, man. It's just insane. Yeah, me too. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that, man. I would love to have the surveillance powers that they have over us and listen to those conversations on my phone in real time just for the lulz. That's the only reason, just for the lulz.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, here we are. We find out that official back channels of communication for the purpose of doing government business exist. This is no longer conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. We now have proof of it. So now here we are in this context of, partisanship, left versus right. And here we have Nancy Pelosi calling for uprisings. Let's take a listen. What do you have to say, you old bag?
The evangelicals testify that asylum, refugees in asylum, that is they called it the crown jewel of America's humanitarianism. Crown jewel of American humanitarianism. And in order to do away with that crown jewel, they're doing away with children being with their moms. This is, I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be when people realize that this is a policy.
Okay, so what she's talking about is this immigration hubbub right now. And Luke, by the way, I actually do have some show prep on immigration. There is a lot to be said about it. Including Paul Ryan is going to make a last-minute amnesty push this week. It is going to be pervasive, probably in the numbers of 6 to 7 million. I am also hearing rumors from my sources that President Trump is going to go to Congress on Tuesday, and he is going to lobby for that bill as opposed to the Goodlatte immigration bill. So I really wanted to talk about it this week. But ladies and gentlemen, please forgive us. We're just going to have to put that off to next week. We'll get to it next week. We'll see the actual happenings rather than the speculation. We'll talk about it then. But anyway,
what predictions do you have? I mean, we know that this is a marketing gimmick, man. You got to make your predictions so that next week or in 3 months we can go back and listen to show number 2.
Yeah,
where we predicted this.
My prediction is that some form of mass amnesty for illegals will be ramrodded through. That's my prediction. And I predict that there will not be much in return for it. Maybe a little bit of funding for a border wall, maybe E-Verify, but I doubt it. I don't know, man. I'm so black-pilled about the IG report that it's hard for me to even imagine, but it seems like Trump is not going to get what it is he's asking for in terms of immigration based upon the rumors I'm hearing.
So wait, are you telling me that Trump is now basically what conservatives have been for, I don't know, 40 years?
Pretty squishy. Yeah. I mean, who
squishy.
knows? Yeah. He has only disappointed me one time, and that was when he bombed Syria. Every other time I get black-pilled about Trump, he turns around and he does the right thing. So he is also a master propagandist, and he is a master of placing false information in the news. So probably, the rumors I'm hearing are untrue. And maybe Trump will come up and veto this bill if it passes the Senate, which is problematic. It might not pass the Senate, even though I mean, it's full of these Republicans that you're talking about for the last 40 years, man. I mean, you know. Anyways, I'm just black-pilled. Man, I'm pissed off. So I'm predicting DACA forgiveness, some type of mass amnesty, DAPA, probably $10 billion for the wall, even though it's going to cost 25. I furthermore would double down that E-Verify will never happen, and we will not get a solution of any type for visa overstays. That's how it's going to go. That's just where I'm at right now, man. I'll be better next week, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be happier next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything different.
Yeah.
You know, again, I don't consider myself a conservative or Republican even, or any of this, you know, honestly, any of this cuckery, but, you know, I just don't expect anything different. I mean, they've been weak and absolutely pathetic on everything for decades, and I don't expect it to change now. So maybe Trump will do something different. I don't know. Trump seems to be a bit of a pragmatist, but then sometimes he seems to be a little bit principled. So who knows? Maybe we'll see something different, but until I see something different, I'm just of the opinion where I'm just not, you know, I don't expect much.
I'm right there with you. In fact, well, actually, I do expect much. I just expect the worst. I mean, man, this IG report blackpilled me so hard that you know that I'm a pessimist somewhat by nature. I mean, kind of comically, but kind of not. I believe that you just kind of always expect the worst and hope for the best. And so I just, based on what I'm seeing right now, man, I expect the worst. We'll see what happens. I have been pleasantly surprised over and over and over again in this administration, so I do have faith. I've got some faith left.
Dude, sometimes I wonder how Nancy Pelosi, it's like, you got to hand it to her, man. I don't know how she's still like a functioning human being. Like,
I don't either, man. Yeah.
It's like, you look at her and it's like, just her, just upstairs is just, is she all there? I don't even know. You know?
I'm the same as you, man. She's an absolute specter to behold, and she rarely makes sense. And like, you can kind of hear it in not just her thoughts, not just her words, but her physical voice now, that somehow she sounds sick. She sounds physically ill now.
And
you know
what
I'm saying?
Mentally ill, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, she does. Yeah.
Dude, I gotta tell you a funny story about this. So, you know, well, so I used to live in San Francisco, and I worked at this hotel. Yeah. And I was a manager there, and somebody came down to my office one morning, and they said, Nancy Pelosi's upstairs eating in the restaurant. And I was like, okay, I don't care. I've got like 90 emails I need to answer. And they were like, well, you know, would you mind? And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. I'll go, you know, help her. And so I went upstairs. I went to the host stand. I took a menu. Actually, and I thought for a second. I almost put the menu back. I almost walked over to her table. I was like, yeah, so what would you like to order for breakfast? And then when she says, well, I haven't even looked at a menu. And then I was going to turn to her and say, well, you have to order breakfast to find out what's in the menu. And I was like, no, I need my job. San Francisco's an expensive city. I'll go get the menu.
Oh, man. I saw into the future before you dropped that punchline, man. You must have told me that story before when you was here in town, man. You must have told me that before. That's hilarious, man. That is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyways, to stay on topic, we just heard Windbag Pelosi calling for mass uprisings. She's not saying, I don't know how these mass uprisings are not happening. No, she is signaling Antifa and illegals and everybody else to start mass uprisings.
She's literally, where's my Antifa?
Yeah, that's
my Antifa.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, leftists are not destructive to the Republic at all. No. Nothing to see here. They're not anti-American at all. Nope. That was a clarion call, ladies and gentlemen. That's what that was. Nothing short of it.
I mean, this is the difference between politics back in the day versus politics today. Back in the day, 150 years ago, she'd be out there spearheading the uprisings.
Right. In the 60s, yes.
Yes. Or no, I'm referring more to like the American Revolution.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I mean, if you feel that passionate about it, go put your money on the line. Go put your family on the line.
Yeah, bring it, you windbag. Bring it. Bring these mass uprisings. You lead the charge. I dare you. Dare you.
Not exactly a spirited effort there.
Yeah,
Pelosi.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is proof that she's calling out to Antifa to do it because she won't do it herself. I mean, first of all, she's clearly physically incapable. And second of all, I mean, man, she's going to sit up there in her ivory tower being a member of the deep state and just sow division, just like the IG report did.
And asking other people to put themselves on the line. I don't see why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
Exactly so.
That's her saying, I don't see why you aren't uprising all over the country.
Exactly so.
And she's not going to do a thing.
Yeah, it's despicable, man. It's just absolutely despicable. And man, listen, you know that I used to be somewhat like left of center, right? And it's crap like this that pulled me over to the right. I'll be perfectly honest. You know what I mean? It really is. It's despicable. You know what I mean? I love this country. You love this country, man. I don't want uprisings of any type in this country. But you know what? You old windbag, you're pushing it. You're pushing it really hard. So
that's a good segue into our next segment. Unless you had something else.
No, that's it. So what are we going to do, Luke? I mean, Luke, what do we do? I mean, clearly, you just heard this old windbag. She wants mass uprisings in the United States. We have a government who is so skilled at hiding their communications that they're out of control. You have FBI agents trying to sabotage a political campaign. You have a weaponized intelligence agency going after not just private citizens.
I think you should rephrase that as not just a political campaign, but the political opposition.
Yes, the political opposition. Yes, that's correct. That you're right. You're right. Yeah. So what we gonna do, man? What do we do about this? I mean, we can't fire them. Right? I mean, we can vote Nancy Pelosi out of office, but in San Francisco, please, she's going to win 92% of the vote here. I mean, I'm going to vote against her, but she's going to win in a landslide, just like always. So, like, what are alternatives here? All right, a convention of states? Nope, that's an absolute disaster. California and New York will be members of that convention of states. Can't do it. Can't do that at all, man. All right. So outright revolution. Is that what we do? We pick up arms and we go against the FBI and go root them out, hunt them down, hang them in the square? Can't do it. Doesn't work. Doesn't work, man. Do we go out and hunt down leftists? Do we just go out in the streets? Anytime Antifa riots, we have somebody come up and we just take them out and put their heads on pikes and throw their heads up in the square on pikes. Can't do it. It doesn't work. We really kind of are reaching the point, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't have a lot of alternatives for what we can do. But it might be time to get really, really rowdy. And I don't know what that looks like. I haven't had enough time to think about my thoughts about like what this means and what my relation to all of these facts is. So I'm not trying to preach at you, but I'm trying to ask you now, ladies and gentlemen, start thinking, what are we going to do? Voting for Donald Trump was not enough. The meme war, the great meme war, it was not enough. Great meme war 2, it was not enough. What do we do? Comment your thoughts at the bottom. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Do you have any about that, Luke?
Yeah. Start a podcast.
Well, yeah. There is that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but in all seriousness, we're fortunate enough that we're in a day and age and, where we still exist in a battlefield of ideas. And that's what we have to be thankful for. And as long as we are living in a battlefield of ideas, then there's something, then we can still fight the good fight. When things like free speech go, there's
free speech, Second Amendment. I agree. Yeah. I don't quite remember the quote. It's a Rand quote, and I'm going to totally butcher it. I don't remember it. I should have it in front of me, but I didn't know we were going to be talking about this. But she says something about when words stop being the means. Actually, no, hers was with dollars, but it would apply the same to words. Like the quote is, when dollars stop being the means by which men deal with each other, then bullets become the means by which men deal with each other. Yeah.
But I mean, the same could be applied to words. It's
Absolutely.
Like when words stop being the means by which we convince each other, then bullets become the means by which we convince each other. And
Absolutely.
I don't want that. You don't want that.
No,
I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
So as long as we have free speech, that is our weapon. Is speech, is thinking.
Yeah.
And when you say get rowdy, when I hear that to me means don't get rowdy physically. That means get rowdy with your thinking.
That's
thinking.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Get on Twitter, email Congress, blow up the phone lines at the White House. Do what Luke and I are doing. Start a podcast. Get rowdy.
Yeah. Most importantly, educate yourself.
For sure.
I went through an intense period of education in my late 20s, and I'm still going through it today. Many years later. And it's you need to just read books, read blogs, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, watch Dave Rubin, watch find people you like, understand more importantly, understand why you like them, and learn and become passionate about ideas. That's the best thing that you can do right now to affect change in a positive direction. So that we don't have to go down this path that Nancy Pelosi's talking about, which is now we're dealing with uprisings, which that is necessarily a call to violence.
That's exactly
and
right.
We want to avoid that. We want to, I don't want to be part of a violent uprising or any kind. I mean, I do want to be a part of an intellectual uprising, but I don't think that's the kind of uprising she's calling for.
No, it's not.
I don't think she's calling for an intellectual uprising as it relates to immigration policy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think she's calling for an uprising, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, she is.
And that's not what I'm calling for, and that's not what I want. I want an intellectual uprising. I want people to start thinking, reading, learning, and engaging with other people. For yourself, most importantly.
Yes.
I mean, not just for the country, not just for your ability to be free to work and build your life the way you want. I mean, all of that, but it's for you because you don't want to live through that. And, we've had a huge opportunity to not have to live through anything awful. And I'm very appreciative of that. And I think everybody should be, and we should work to maintain that and promote that. And that means living a life of the mind. So in my mind, that's what we do.
Well said. Well said. I agree. I agree entirely. And, meme wars are fine. Maybe we should start up another meme war before the midterms. That's fine. It's ideological, right? It's not, well, I don't mean ideological, but it exists within the realm of ideas. So, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time, people. Break out all those rare Pepes. Start showing them to your friends. Things like this.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do, Luke? How do you want to do this? You want to slam through these last few topics that we have, or do you want to take a break real quick? I could refresh.
Yeah, I was actually going to say we ought to
refresh beverages.
Yeah, we ought to take a break real quick.
Take a breather real quick. All right, we'll do it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging in there with us. We're loving this show so far, despite how blackpilling everything is. We got some good stories for you to come back to, and hang in there with us. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, Russ, did you want to take us into the next one, which is the Singapore Summit, which is, man. So I have so many thoughts on this, man. And I got to say, I have a lot of conflicting. I'm conflicted about this one.
Okay. I am too. I'm very conflicted. I mean, first of all, because I don't trust Kim Jong-un nor North Korea as far as I can throw them. You know what I mean? At all. I mean, you probably feel the same, right? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I don't know what sane human being would feel otherwise.
Totally. I think, where I'm at right now on it is first of all, this feels like ancient history, man. I mean, it feels like this happened months and months and months ago, but it just happened last Tuesday, man. We're recording right now on Sunday, so 5 days ago, this went down, and it was all the rage back then. I think that it was basically a success. I think it was a good starting point. I think also I think it's a big win for President Trump. And I really don't appreciate the leftist punditry talking in terms of, you're going against all our allies and you're running now to this foreign dictator who killed Otto Warmbier and blah, 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 blah. I don't appreciate it, man. I would rather, like we said last week, I would rather talk to anyone than fight with them. So I think this is a good start. Yeah?
All right. I'm going to read you a quote. All right, I'll tell you who wrote it afterwards. I'll tell you. You'll probably know.
All right, red pill me.
Reading, but, I'm going to read you a quote. I just want you to react to this. All right. According to Trump, Jong-un has a quote great personality end quote, is quote very talented end quote, and quote a very worthy, very smart negotiator end quote who quote loves his people and loves his country very much end quote. Parentheses, will forgive Jong-un's people if they haven't noticed, end quote. In regard to the countless people that Jong-un's regime has murdered, tortured, and starved to death, Trump said, quote, look, he's doing what he's seen done. I don't do a very good Trump. I don't know how to do Trump accent. I think that was like some sort of mix of like Gollum and
it was good.
I don't know.
It was
good. Parentheses, as if that somehow excuses mass murder, mass torture, and all manner of unspeakable cruelty, in parentheses, close parentheses. It was a, quote, honor, end quote, to meet with Jong-un, said Trump. We have a terrific relationship. God, I can't do it, man. I can't do a Trump accent. I need to work on that. All right. In short, the president of the country founded, so this is the part I want you to react to. In short, the president of the country founded on the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, met with and fawned over a dictator who peddles in mass murder, unmitigated tyranny, and unfathomable torture. Where are you at on that?
Okay, first of all, I'm dying to hear who it is, but I'll react first. I'll give my hot take on it. Okay, I heard President Trump say this, okay, and I was kind of, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of thinking a lot of these thoughts that this commenter was thinking. I'll be perfectly honest. I understand the irony, right? I understand how drastically different these two countries are. I completely get it. I also really, man, I should have gotten this audio, but I didn't get it. So on Friday, Trump strolls out to the North Lawn at the White House, and he takes a walk around the White House grounds. And there, of course, there are a bunch of reporters there. So he throws an impromptu press conference right then and there. And I really loved it when he said, excuse me, Mr. President, when somebody from, I'm sure CNN said, excuse me, Mr. President, you know, how is it that you can meet with it? You say that you really care about Otto Warmbier, and, you know, you make all of these platitudes about Otto Warmbier. So how is it that you can meet with the leader of the country who essentially killed him? His reply was, because I don't want you and your family to get nuked. I don't want you and your family to be killed by a nuclear weapon. That's why I did it. And that basically is my reaction. Who said it?
Craig Biddle.
Really?
Objective Standard.
Really? Of course. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the article, I'll put it in the show notes. The article is Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, enemies of human life. And man, you know, if there's anybody from the objectivist camp listening to this, I'm sure I'm going to get lambasted in the comments, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I am torn on this because on the one hand, yes, I understand where Biddle's coming from.
I do too.
Which is, yeah, I mean, why would you meet with this person? He's an evil person, if only because he allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't initiate it, you know. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, you have to assume some degree of, like, you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors, you know. But on the other hand, it's like, I also don't like the fact that Trump is so over, like, look, Trump could just play he could just play it out. It's like, yeah, we met. You know, he doesn't need to be like, oh yeah, he's a great guy. You know, this is where I think Trump is like really a pragmatist, is when he says these things about, meeting with Kim Jong-un and, I'm now saying Kim Jong-un as well, because I've been watching stuff on this and I hear people say it both ways. Whatever, I don't know what the way is. I'm just going to call it Kim Jong-un. Anyways, you know, I hear Trump say these things about him, and it's like, dude, what? Like, why are you going so over the top in your compliments with him? You know, great personality, very talented, a very worthy, very smart negotiator who loves his. I mean, what is the point of saying all that? If not to butter his ass up, you know? And this is where I see the pragmatism coming out. I mean, if I were in Trump's shoes, and again, I'm not fully privy to the facts. I don't know what all was said. But if I were in Trump's shoes, yeah, I would have said, yes, I will meet with you. And I would have made it very clear, we will get 100% of our demands, and we will offer nothing in return. And this is basically a way for you to not, this meeting is us allowing your country to not become obliterated. That's what we're offering you is not being obliterated. That would be, what I would offer him.
I agree, man.
And it's not just because like he's a bad country and we're the big bad, we're the big bad wolf, It's not that at all. It's, and it's not like, oh, America, it's coming from that place. It's coming from a place of, we all know what North Korea is, what they stand for, what they've said to the United States in the past, the promises they've broken, the things that they've said about our country and the threats they made. And South Korea is an ally. They make threats to South Korea, and also the fact that they are a pipsqueak nation. Yes, like they do have one of the largest militaries in the world, but with absolutely abysmal technology. And we could wipe them off the face of the map with virtually no effort. You know, we would just have to throw money at the problem, basically, you know, with a bunch of missiles and boats and jets and whatnot. And we could, you know, if we had the will, we could wipe them off the face of the map. But I don't think we would be willing to do that. And, yeah, so this is where I see Trump's pragmatism going out, whereas, you know, he doesn't approach it from a principled stance of how could we possibly handle this and what's the right thing to do. He approaches it as a deal, you know. Yes. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm a pragmatist. I will say what I need to and be unprincipled about it and just get the deal done.
Absolutely.
Even if everything about it is wrong.
Absolutely. I agree entirely.
And one could, you know, a counter argument that one could have against that would be, well, okay, who cares? You know, he got the deal done. Well, the counter argument is like, well, now these other regimes are looking at us like, oh, cool. All we need to do is like put a smile on our face, and the United States will do whatever we want.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like we are now not a threat to anybody else after this.
Yeah.
Now Iran can, you know, oh, hey, cool, man. Just put on a black suit, you know, smile, shake his hand, arrange a meeting. Cool. No more sanctions or, you know, whatever else. Like, they'll make a deal. You know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I would add to that, I really don't like how the president has turned this into a week-long perpetual victory lap. And I really think that's what it's about. I mean, he really is kind of stroking himself, for lack of better words, about like, look at this great thing I did with North Korea, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think it's smart. But that said,
I mean, the thing is, it's like he made a deal with somebody who has nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This is like when I AMOG'd the homeless guy in San Francisco. It's like, it's funny.
This is like when we both AMOG'd Willie Brown. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, it's, you know, it's like, he's just not exactly anything to be proud about, you know? Like, cool, man. Like, you shook the hand of a stated, you know, prolonged and ongoing enemy, you know, and then smiled and shook his hand and then complimented him. And then now you have a deal. I don't understand how that's like hardly a victory, if not I mean, if there was a victory involved, it was that, like, we don't have to go to war and we don't have to spend the money on it. But, you know, that's assuming the fact that Kim Jong-un upholds all of his promises, and it's also assuming the fact that doesn't also have negative side effects to the other enemies that we have that are looking at how we're dealing with North Korea.
Well, yeah, and speaking of, one of the ways that we are dealing with North Korea is that we called off the quote-unquote war games, which were scheduled with South Korea. They were military training exercises for this week. We canceled it. Is that really the smartest thing to do?
Oh my God.
I'm not sure. But
it's probably Dennis Rodman probably tweeted at the president. It was like, hey man, you can just cancel those.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's possible, man. It's entirely possible. I mean, seriously, the way this week has gone,
and
anything is possible.
On behalf of a tweet from Dennis Rodman, I have canceled the military.
Well, okay. So like, let me suggest to you a possible reason. I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, Trump is Trump, man. He is a wheeler and dealer. He is a shit poster in chief, and I don't understand his motivations ever. And I don't understand his objectives other than to make wins for himself and for his team. But let me suggest a possible reason. Okay, let me play a little bit of audio real quick here. All right, this is from when Trump and Kim Jong-un met for the first time. Listen to what Trump says to the media.
getting a good picture of everybody so we look nice and handsome and thin.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
All right, and so you can't see it because it was a video clip, but Kim Jong-un his translator is speaking to into his ear about what President Trump just said, and his mouth is agape, right? Well, about 10 seconds later that we don't see in this clip, Kim Jong-un just started laughing hysterically about what it was that President Trump just said. Now, that was a subtle AMOG right there. Are you making sure?
Hold on. What did he say? Because you, for whatever reason, the drop didn't come through on my ear like the first couple of words did, and then I missed it.
He leans over to the press corps and he was like, "Okay, so are you finding a way to photograph us so that we look handsome?"
Oh, I saw
thin?
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, first of all, like by saying thin, he's taking a barb at Kim Jong-un because, you know, Kim Jong-un.
Oh, dude, he negged him. He negged him,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
He negged Kim Jong-un.
Yeah. And Kim Jong-un laughed about it, right? So, like, maybe that's what it is that Trump is being so conciliatory because he realizes that he owns him psychologically. Perhaps. Now,
yeah, I mean, yeah, this would be, I don't think this would be the 4D chess argument. I think this would be like,
this is human relations. It's not 4D chess.
Yeah.
It's human relations.
Yeah. This is straight up game theory.
Yes, it is. And, you know, also,
So Trump is running game on
yes,
Kim Jong-un.
Absolutely. As he does on everyone, including his voters. Hell, I mean, everybody. But there is another thing that I would like to mention, and it goes thus. Okay, so the meeting happened on Tuesday. Before the meeting, Kim Jong-un went out with a bunch of his staff, basically protectors and such, and he toured Singapore. Now, Singapore is a pretty amazing place. I've been there. It is absolutely opulent. The only city in the world that I have ever been able to compare it to is Las Vegas, because there's just this over-the-top, man-made, artificial beauty about it. Everywhere you look, everything is beautiful. The streets are clean. The traffic moves. The Bay Sands is there. It's beautiful to look at. The Merlion is there. The bay is there. It's absolutely spectacular. And so when Kim Jong-un rolled around Singapore just to look at the sights, there was, I don't know how to account for it, Luke, there was just something in his gaze, something in his eyes, something in his ecstasy, his smile, his general excitedness that really touched my heart, man. I mean, because I got to thinking about it. Kim Jong-un really doesn't leave North Korea ever. The only time I know about him leaving North Korea is when he went to secondary education in Sweden for 2 years. I don't know about him leaving North Korea any other time. And so...
Oh, dude, he did not grow up in North Korea.
Where did he grow up then?
He's Switzerland.
Oh, it wasn't Sweden. It was Switzerland. Okay.
No, but it wasn't 2 years, man. He grew up there.
Really?
Yeah, he went through school there. They had he was there under an alternate identity. Nobody really knew who he was. He had friends in Switzerland.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
This is
he
true.
grew up. This is. I remember like when he first went back to North Korea and took over after his dad died. I remember thinking to myself how it was particularly evil what he was doing because he grew up in the West and he knows better.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, there's pictures of him like playing basketball with other
really?
like teenage kids. Yeah. Dude, that's why he likes Dennis Rodman so much. He's a huge basketball fan.
Okay.
So yeah, he grew up in the West, man. This is what makes what he's done like particularly evil.
Well,
I mean, not to imply that had it been, had he just grown up there and not known anything different, then then it's excusable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it just amplifies what he's done.
I would agree entirely.
There in North Korea, and what has allowed it to exist, because he grew up in freaking Switzerland and then went back to North Korea and just basically inherited a dictatorship. I mean, dude, that is such a mind-bending idea, that you would grow up in Switzerland and then like suddenly go back and inherit a dictatorship.
It is.
It's just.
It is. So this, I mean, I have to reconfigure my idea, because I actually did know that at some point in time in the past and have forgotten all of that. But you're right. That is true. Okay. So then, like, let me talk about this heart-rending stuff about Kim and looking at his pictures and how happy and ecstatic he was to be rolling around Singapore. Let's take away the naivete. Let's take away the first time that he has been in like a proper capitalist society. Okay, he grew up in one. Well, then my point, I think, is further edified by the fact that he seemed so at ease to be back in it, into a westernized society.
I mean, that's a fair estimation. I mean, it could be that he's just so.
He felt free, man. He felt free.
Yeah, but I mean, still though, dude, this just reeks of like, oh, now all this is like we're catering to Kim Jong-un, and you know, it's like, oh, he misses his Xbox and being able to go to the club on the weekends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know the reasons. I agree with the criticism from the article you cited. I can't account for it. And I don't really like Trump being up on his jock the way he was. I'm just spitballing about what the reason may be. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the best case scenario is that Trump has this entire deal in the bag with Kim Jong-un at the outset. And, you know, he's just playing it because he knows what's going to happen, and he's just telling the North Korean people, yeah, he loves them, and he's just doing whatever he needs to do to make sure this whole thing gets pushed through, because it's already a done deal, and he just has to finish pushing it through.
Yeah.
And so he's just willing to say whatever in the meantime.
That is best case.
Knowing what's, but that's best case. I still don't know that's how I would handle it. I think I would I think I would be like, look, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but if this is what you want, then let's make it happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you hear about the hotels comment that Trump made to Kim Jong-un? Did you hear about this?
No.
Apparently, no, not apparently, definitely. He said to Kim Jong-un, you see, Kim, instead of all of these nukes, you could have all of these beautiful hotels just like Singapore. Your country could be full of hotels. And of course, the left blasted him for that. But then he came. Oh my God. Then he came back. It was he probably shouldn't have said that. But there's nothing about. By the way, there's nothing about the way Trump does things that are in accordance with how I would do things. I mean, nothing. But nonetheless, I have not been disappointed yet. But anyway, so like what he said to the media when he got back was, oh, yes, I was just talking about the fact, you know, you've got a country in a peninsula. You've got South Korea to your south. You've got China to the north. What better place to build tons of hotels than right there in North Korea? That's all I meant. Pretty funny. But like, I wish he had thought of something besides hotels, you know? I mean, I would love to see a Trump Tower in Pyongyang. I would not want to see the president of the United States negotiate in his self-interest for one of his hotels there in Pyongyang. You know what I mean?
That's some serious 4D chess. Like turns out.
Yeah.
So here's the 4D chess. Turns out this whole run for presidency thing is because he's trying to get a hotel deal done in North Korea.
That's the last frontier. There's nowhere else to build a hotel. We got to go to North Korea. Yeah. I've got to run for president so we can work this out so I can build a hotel there.
Yeah.
I mean, man,
That's truly 4D chess.
Yeah,
man.
it is. Yeah, man, that's 10D chess. That man, that's 100D chess right there. 100D chess. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe. I'm not kidding. Literally, maybe.
Yeah, dude. At this point, man. At this point, there's no telling.
There's no telling, man.
I think totally could be the case.
Yeah. Oh man, what else you got on this?
Man, I think that's about it.
All right. So we got a couple topics left, but let's just get to this one, Luke. You want to talk about SNAP for a minute? You want to talk about my food stamps for a minute?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll make it quick, man. Fewest number of SNAP recipients in 8 years. Calculate that, by the way. That's since the Obama administration. That is since the financial collapse. We have finally seen a dip in the amount of people on nutritional assistance in the United States. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic news. I read the article in Zero Hedge. Basically, what is happening is that we're seeing a mass exodus from people in the SNAP program. My bet, there is no data to support this whatsoever, but my bet is that it's probably illegals jumping off of the SNAP program so that they can no longer be tracked. That's just a guess, though. That would account for, we're talking in numbers around 200,000 less than 8 years ago. That's huge, man. So
how many were on it to begin with?
Oh man, let me pull up this article real quick. Sorry, man. Again, so much show prep and I had to restart before this. All right, so where we're at is
it's this daily caller, right?
It's Zero Hedge here. Yep.
Okay.
40.8 million people.
Okay, well that's not a huge. 200,000 out of 40 million. That's that's like if it was like 200,000 out of 1 million.
Right.
That would be.
Oh yeah. Man. We literally have a third of our country's population on some type of government assistance right now. 1/3, 95-ish million, about 95 million. It's insane. But finally, what's happening is I think that the Trump plan that we talked about last week, I think that it's starting to work. And even if it is illegals jumping off of nutritional assistance from the government, well, it's still working. The plan is still working. But nonetheless, 40 million people on SNAP, that's nothing to sneeze at, man. But if we can start digging into that number bit by bit, row by row, we're going to make things a lot better. This is fantastic news, man. Fantastic news.
Yeah, I think the important thing that you just said is bit by bit.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of people talk about, oh my God, our deficit is, trillions and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and they're like, so what is 200,000 people? Okay, cool. But that's still a trend in the right direction.
Absolutely.
We don't need to write a book about it, but it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's a win. Again, we need to celebrate wins. There's not enough of that, man. I listen to so many podcasts, listen to so much material. Everyone is just complaining about everything. Let's celebrate some wins here.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Let's assume the best case scenario that these people who have jumped off SNAP, what if they got jobs? So now we are dipping into the permanently unemployed status as well. People are getting off government benefits because they have work. This is a win. That's the absolute best case scenario. it does roughly track with the unemployment statistics from about 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. About 2 weeks ago. It roughly tracks with that. But, again, correlation really means nothing. It does not indicate causation or anything else. Correlation is exactly that, correlation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll call that a win,
me
man.
too. I call it a win.
We'll put a video in the show notes of a true winner, a true American winner.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
living the dream on the California coast.
Yeah. Check it out. Let's listen to him right now for just a minute, but we'll put this video up.
So it's off to the gourmet section of the local food mart.
I got my rainbow roll. We got ahi, salmon, eel, yellowtail with rice and avocado. And then they had lobster on special. We got lobster and coconut water.
Then Jason's off to the automated checkout counter. Food stamp card at the ready.
$200 a month, and you just go like, boom.
Thank you for shopping with us.
Just like that.
Please remove your bags.
All paid for by our wonderful tax dollars.
Is that typically the type of thing that you'll get on the SNAP card?
Yeah, I'll usually get sushi, but make it my own way. But they didn't have any good fish, so I just got the pre-made stuff.
EBT lobster.
This disgusting human being, man. I mean, Luke and I were talking before the show. I mean, we remember this video from back in the day. I think it was like maybe in the fall or winter of 2013. And we remember watching it back in the day. This Fox News, it was on Brett Baer's show, and John Roberts did the reporting. And, we both remember it. And we were talking before the show about seems pretty cool, man. Pretty cool lifestyle, I'd like to live like that down in San Diego. Don't have to buy your own food. You're in a band. You surf every day. You hit on chicks all day, drink all day, smoke all day. Not bad, man. But you know what, man? His name is Greenslate. What is his first name? Was it Daniel Greenslate? Is that his name? I can't even remember what his name was, but his last name is definitely Greenslate. Hey, brother, you know what? You're welcome.
Jason Greenslate.
That's it, Jason Greenslate. Yeah, you know what, brother? You're welcome. Enjoy them food stamps. Meanwhile,
dude,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, here's the thing about these people is that there's no way that they're happy.
He puts up a pretty good act, but no, he looks like a pretty miserable human being to me.
I mean, he may be living it up right now. He may think he's happy, but give him a couple years, wait till he washes up a bit, and he has nothing except his $200 a month.
Right.
There's no way that these people are happy and feel good about themselves.
Exactly. When I prepped this segment up, man, I did a little bit of research to see if I could find him, and guess what? He has disappeared, man. His band, Rat Life, RATT Life, has not posted anything on their website since 2015. His blog has died. This cuck is invisible. He is nowhere to be found. He was unable to, parlay his moment into something permanent, much like some objectivists that we happen to know who will go nameless. But nonetheless, there was his big shot, and he gone, man. He invisible. He is invisible.
Yeah, dude. And again, man, there's no way these people feel good about themselves. You cannot have pride. I mean, in order to be happy, you need to have self-esteem. In order to have self-esteem, you need to have taken pride in having done something.
Absolutely.
And I mean, surfing, playing guitar, hitting on chicks sounds cool and sounds fun, but you are not living up to your potential, and you know it.
Yep. Yeah.
And anybody living on the dole in any sort of it's a difference when let's be clear, I don't think it should exist at all. I don't think there should be any government dole for anybody, but the people who are utilizing that in an honest way, don't enjoy it. That is not an enjoyable lifestyle for them. If they are using it because they need it and they don't want to continue that, they do not view that as a virtuous lifestyle. They view that as, this is suboptimal and I'm trying to fix the situation. You know, this guy who's doing it, you know, out in the open pretends like it's a virtuous lifestyle, but I assure you it's not. Deep down inside, he is empty. His soul is empty deep down inside.
I would entirely agree, man. I mean, the interview, the visuals from the interview with John Roberts kind of say it all, man. He's sitting there wearing, you know, a pair of really thick sunglasses. He's constantly smoking. He has his arms crossed. He's kicked back, trying to act like he's chill, brah. But he can't even look John Roberts nor the camera in the eye. I mean, I kind of find this sort of indication of low self-esteem in his eyes, just like I find, well, that emotion I was talking about with Kim Jong-un earlier, this feeling of being free, ecstatic, being out of North Korea, being in a proper country again, right? Like there's just something in his gaze that you can tell is defeated, absolutely defeated. So,
yeah. Yeah, this is, you know, the government, the dole is not, you know, this is why it's bad. It's not good for people.
Right.
You know, the people who actually need it are the kinds of people who will find help in their community through churches, through friends, through family, through people who believe them and believe in them and believe that they don't want this, you know, and there are people that will help them for that and let those people help them. But, you know, the people who don't really understand the damage that they're doing to their own self, their own psychology.
Right.
These are the people for whom the dole is the problem.
Absolutely.
And the people who want to make themselves better can and will, and they'll find that help and support, you know, or you know, people like to help other people that they care about.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need the government to do that. And everybody else that takes advantage of it, I mean, it just destroys them. It just destroys them from within.
Yeah, man. So like two things about that. Something I learned from this video when I rewatched it that I did not remember. It used to be since welfare reform in 1996 in the Clinton administration, it used to be the case that you only got 3 months of free food every 3 years. But the Obama administration changed it in 2009 as part of his stimulus act. That was the second bailout number 2, if you will, which was just a complete handout to the 1%. That's all it was. But what he did was made it so that you get $200 a month for life, forever. Now, the other thing I would react to, Luke, is, how do I explain this? I had this conversation with another mutual friend of ours, kind of on the regular. Has almost 10 years of this changed the American culture so much that we truly are a socialist, dependent country who cannot do for their own anymore? Like, in other words, is America permanently spoiled, permanently ruined?
No, I don't agree with that.
I don't think so either. Our friend does. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'll tell you when we get off the recording. I'm not going to dox him in this, but our friend thinks that.
No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that because people don't like it. People are unhappy that way.
Yeah, I agree. There honestly is nothing I like more than, oh man, I hate to say it, but I love to work. That's just it. I love to work.
I mean, but you shouldn't hate to say that, man.
I know.
I know. You know, but you know, America they still have a culture of saving, a culture of independence. The American dream is building your life the way you want. That is happiness. You know, happiness and building the lifestyle that you want. That is the American dream.
Absolutely.
And all that entails, which is saving money for retirement so you're not, trying to figure out how you're going to retire. It's, finding the job that you want. It's building a house and living in your house. It's all of these sorts of things and achieving happiness. And it's a very stark contrast when you look at a European country. And when you look at Europe, when you look at a European country, it's a very stark contrast. The Germans, for example, are not like that at all. The Germans do not want to work for themselves. They want to work for an employer so they can get their benefits. They view working for yourself as suboptimal. So a lot of guys that go through apprenticeships will actually finish their apprenticeship and then they will start their own business. Yeah. And they'll get some customers and they'll have their own business. And then they will immediately begin looking to find someone to work for.
Wow.
So that they can get holidays and get their health care and all this stuff.
Okay. So Red Dog me on this, man. How did that happen? And is it symptomatic of exactly what I'm questioning about the American people? Has it been going on there, this kind of sort of socialism, government guaranteed benefits been going on so long that the populace is now spoiled, ruined?
I think people need to be more careful when they throw around the word socialism. America is not a socialist country. In fact, most of Europe is hardly socialist.
But you know what I'm saying.
It's I know that, but it's much more cultural. Like Germany, for example, which is where I live, does not have a culture of entrepreneurship. It does not have a culture of wanting to work for yourself. It doesn't have a culture of wanting to move around and live other places and explore opportunities. It's not that. They have a culture of stay in your lane. You're not going to become wealthy, but you're not going to suffer either. Just stay in your lane, live where you're going to live, and do what you're going to do. Maybe you'll buy a house at some point. And when you finish working, the government will take care of you. And in the case that the government doesn't take care of you, in Germany, they force your relatives to take care of you. So you are actually bound to. This actually freaked me out after I got married to my wife because I learned about this. She told me about one of her relatives who is one of her cousins who is now having to spend a lot of money to pay for the old folks home of his father, who he actually gave a bunch of money to his wife who cheated on him. So now he has no money and the government doesn't want to support him because his son makes enough money to support him. So the government is forcing his son to take care of him.
Oh, wow, man. Wow.
So in Germany, the government has this you are literally bound to each other by virtue of blood, and the government will force that upon you.
Japan is somewhat similar. I happen to know for a fact, not quite like that, but mortgages are passed down generationally in Japan. I'll put it that way. So,
yeah. So, believe me, if you think U.S. has a culture and all is lost, you haven't spent enough time, and you haven't lived in places where the culture is just fundamentally different. And I don't think Germany is all is lost. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's very, very, very different, and especially as it relates to business and lifestyle, these sorts of things. Europe is so wildly different from the United States that to say that it's socialist because now, a lot of people are on welfare. I don't know. Sweden is another great example. Sweden embraced socialism in, I don't know what it was, the 50s and the 60s.
About that,
yeah. And by the mid 90s, the economy in Sweden completely crashed.
Yeah.
And Sweden has been on the come up since the mid 90s because they've been privatizing their industries one after the other.
That's correct.
Yet everyone thinks Sweden is this crazy socialist country.
Yeah.
And becoming more social. Well, it's not true. They're becoming less socialist.
Denmark
actually.
as well.
So,
people think the same of Denmark, and
Denmark is actually ranked higher on the Economic Freedom Index than the United States is, or at least it was a couple of years ago.
It still is. Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but they still do have some socialist elements in them, but they're very economically free. So, the problem with the United States is they have this sort of we want to be kind of capitalist, kind of socialist, but then they also are in terms of regulations, they're like, we kind of want to be free market and capitalist, and we also kind of want to be fascist. They have this heavy environment of heavy regulation, regulating everything, combined with environment of capitalism and investment and growth and wealth, combined with this environment of also pseudo socialism and other stuff like this. So they have this fascist, capitalist, socialist mixture going on. I mean, it's called a mixed economy, right?
Uh-huh.
Whereas Europe is much more just straight up some socialism and some capitalism, and the regulations, or at least in Denmark and Sweden. Norway is a different story. They get their money from oil. But specifically as it relates to Sweden and Denmark, they get their money from economic freedom, and they would be doing a lot better off if it weren't for their socialist policies. Germany is a country where it's you're not economically free at all, and they're quite socialist. So Germany is on the whole a pretty poor country per capita. And the United States, it's they're riding on the coattails of 150, 200 years of economic freedom and vast amount of wealth creation, and there's still a lot of wealth creation there, and prospects look good for the United States, but the trend of things is in the wrong direction. But to say that all is lost and it's a socialist country, I mean, come on, man, spend some time in some other countries. And I don't know who that was. I hope it's not somebody I still talk to a lot, because they're going to be mad at me.
I'll tell you when we get off the horn, man. I'll tell you. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but this person is betting against the will of the United States. So, take it for what it's worth.
They're investing in futures.
Yeah. I'll tell you about it, man.
Yeah. All right, cool.
So,
man.
one last point about this, man. Before we go, the USDA is proposing to reduce SNAP benefits, and instead of giving you just free EBT money that you can go spend on, Funyuns and Coca-Cola and cigarettes and beer, they want to cut that by half and then give you what they call America's Harvest Box to meet up for that cut, or to compensate for that cut. I quote from the Zero Hedge article. Under the USDA America's Harvest Box proposal, all Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program participating households receive $90 per month or more in benefits will receive a package of nutritious 100% U.S. grown and produced food. Approximately 16.4 million households, or about 81% of SNAP households, will be impacted by this proposal. The amount of food received per household would be scaled to the overall size of the household SNAP allotment, ultimately representing about half of their benefits. SNAP participants would receive domestically sourced and produced food in lieu of a portion of their SNAP benefits. The Department of Agriculture estimates the change would save taxpayers $129 billion over 10 years. That's $129 billion over 10 years by switching to defined packages that would presumably have a predictable, consistent cost. So, hey, you know what, Jason Greenslate? Enjoy your Harvest Box, bro. You're out of ahi and yellowtail and all your sushi and stuff, bro. You're going to be getting some beans and peanut butter and, some refrigerator safe milk and such. Enjoy it, bro. Enjoy it. That's all I got for this week, Luke. Actually,
That's great,
we have
man.
a lot more, but no deep dive this week, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize. We're going to get back at you in the next couple days with the deep dive. There will probably be some happenings in the next couple days, so we'll have some highlights to blaze through as well. But this topic, me and Luke got teed up for the deep dive. We are dying to get to, and there was just too much going on this week to do it proper justice this week. So we're going to be coming back at you with it, man. I'm looking forward to it, Luke. How about you?
Yeah, man, I'm looking. Yeah, we called an audible at the last minute because there's just too much to cover. So
yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we're gonna come at we're gonna come at you with this in the next day, and it's gonna be awesome.
That's absolutely right. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
All
thank
right.
you so much. It's been a pleasure for Luke and I. We love doing this. We hope you love it too. We want to convey our enthusiasm to you and just make it spread. We want you to be as equally enthusiastic, even though, yeah, I'm a little bit black-pilled this week, but you know what? I'll be better in 2 days. So,
Right on, man.
all right, man. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
We'll be talking at you soon.
All right.
All right, late.
Late.